Greetings, soul travelers. Let's talk a little bit about when you're coming into balance, how you feel, uh, so that you can identify it and recognize where you are in your path, what to expect. How it happened for me was I've been on the journey for 5 years. That's a long time and not a long time, according to other people. About halfway through, I had a second energy transference with my twin, and we went into the next phase. At that point, I felt my energy come flying back into me, and I knew that I was at a crucial part of my journey because it came into me in its entirety. And then I worked on for the last 2.5 years on my masculine energy coming in and integrating and solidifying within me. I feel extremely stable now. The biggest part of when you know that you're coming into balance is that you can feel that your emotional nervous system is regulated. You're not feeling like you're being zapped with electricity all the time. Your mind is more under control for you instead of something outside of you pulling your mind all over the place. Because for the longest time after you're activated, you have your thoughts being pulled this way, and then you wrestle them back over here because you know instinctually that's not where you should be. It's something negative. You're thinking negative or acting negative, and you pull it back and you get it lined up and you correct it. And as soon as you relax your mind at all, it gets pulled back again out of alignment. And that's what it's doing. It's falling out of alignment is all it is. So you pull it back and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at some point after it's not so much what you're doing. So when they say do the work, that what their meaning is be mindful. Be mindful of what you're experiencing. Don't just wallow in it, and don't point fingers at the other person and say it's their fault and they're a narcissist and things. Be mindful of yourself. Pull your energy back and direct it at yourself and look at what role you played in that part of the beginning part. And then you fell apart, but it wasn't through fault to either of you. You were role playing. You signed on to come here and do things. And I had so many times in that beginning part when I reflect back on how each of us acted and what we said. We were laying little breadcrumb trails for each other by what we said to each other. We didn't understand it then, and I understand it now. I don't know what he understands, but I can see how we were speaking through our 5D to each other, falling apart in the 3D. That's a big difference, but you are aware and you aren't aware. You got the two facets of yourself fighting at that point. Now, when you trying to condense it all down, for that first part, however long that is for you, it'll be all different for everybody. You're going to be in the high amplified energy, and just go with it, because be mindful, but realize that it's got to go through its own space and time, and you can't beat yourself up over things. Just do the best you can. And then when you get to a certain point, whether you run into your twin or not, you will get to a point where that starts to regulate and it calms down. And when it was doing that for me, I was just so bloody happy to have it calming down that I was honestly saying, if I never see him again, well, that's okay. At least I got my inner world back, because we go through hell in this. So when it started to calm down, I was both happy about that and humbled at how it then bounced back out. I would go for a brief amount of time where I was stable and I was looking around and going, this feels really good. And then something would come up, and it's not a big triggers like it was before. There was major triggers before. But then it gets to a point where it's mild triggers and you're okay with it because it's showing you now. You know enough by that point that when a trigger comes up, you look at it, you actually look at it and you recognize it for what it is. It's telling you a story and you pay attention to it. And you don't have to be dragging yourself out and back again, because as soon as you see that that trigger comes up or thought process or something, you 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 look at it, you recognize it, and you address it immediately. And I started to play this little game. If something came up that I knew that was not worthy of me, my thoughts dragging me down somewhere, or some memory, or something I'm scrapping with somebody in my head, I would take that thought, and this is just a little game I had. I'd take that thought and I'd hold it out in front of me, and I visualized a little gremlin. That it was a little gremlin, and I'd hold it up and I'd drop it, and I'd drop kick that little gremlin across the room. And there was times where I visualized that little gremlin going splat against the wall, and I'd laugh because it was a funny visualization. But it broke me out of the train of thought that I was on, scrapping with a person and doing stupid things that I shouldn't had. I had no business doing that. Sometimes you're driving along in the car and all of a sudden you're having a fight with somebody that, it happened 45 years ago. Let it go. Stop. It doesn't exist. It didn't exist the day after it happened. So why are you fighting about it now? It's not the real thing that you're fighting with. It's the energy, the surges of just negativity. And it comes up and it manifests in the strangest, funniest ways. After a while, you will see it as quite funny. And as you go, when you start getting more regulated, you do get really calmer, and you're still focused very much on the journey, but you're calmer, able to and I hit this point where I was just coasting. I was coasting for about 6 months or so. I didn't have anything happening. I kept sort of looking around like, well, where is it? What's coming? And nothing came. And I realized maybe this is what it's like being in balance. And then you go further. As soon as you think you're at something, you go further into it. And then you think, oh, now I'm at it. And then you go further into it. It never ends. But what I've experienced for the last, well, let's see, around December, oh no, in November, I had something, oh God, it never ends. The people that have left my life, I was really sick in November. And by the end of this year, I ended up where I had moved to another place inside me, and I kept thinking, okay, I'm calm again. I'm not sick anymore. I'm able to look at this and think, well, what now? Because, okay, it's calm, but it's also quite boring because I've lost every person in my life. It's winter in Canada. I have spent already 4 months in the living room trying to go forward on things as best you can, but I don't want to go out because I just spend money. So I go out and get groceries so that I can talk to people, and then I come back, and it's another 2-3 weeks. The weather is miserable, so it's not inspiring me to go out. At that point, I thought, well, what now? Something has got to happen because this is getting quite boring. And I have vowed to myself back when I was very, very young, I will never, as I get older, just repeat my days and live out my days. That's existing. That's not living. But I really was having everything taken from me, or a feeling that everything was being taken from me or being blocked from me. So I didn't have a feeling of going forward. And I thought, well, what are you going to do about that? Well, no sooner do you think a thought like that than it comes. And I've had that happen so many times in my life. I remember one time when I was battling weight, and I was about 35, and I looked up at the sky and I said, hey, God, can you make something wrong with me so that I can't drink anymore and overeat? So, because I wasn't capable of controlling my weight myself. So I wanted to make it easy. Well, no more than 3 months later, I couldn't drink any alcohol. I developed a sensitivity to it. It's not an allergy, but I can't have more than an ounce of anything where it makes me feel really sick. And I think that's the part of your frequency rising, because I found through life as my frequency rose, I became very intolerant of certain things. It's your body telling you. It knows better than you do. Mentally, I didn't know enough to stop it, so the body took control. And I can't do sugar, which is what is in most alcohol and sugar, and I just don't want anything that's bad for your body anyway. But anyway, when I asked, because I thought I was getting bored in life, I thought, well, what now? What are you going to do? Because you're just sitting here doing nothing. Let's do something. And all of a sudden, my masculine energy kicked into do mode, which I hadn't been in. I had been wallowing since September. I half was complaining about being stuck in the house for winter and half embracing it. But then I started to think, well, let's do something. Let's go forward on something. And I had been trying to get this channel up for 2 years, but I clearly wasn't ready to do it because I had other things to get done under my belt before I could bring my words to the screen. Because you shouldn't come forward until you're ready. You're not going to be saying things that probably resonate with you at a later date. And I might not agree with this video at a later date, but I think I will. So I revisited it again. I have had problem after problem after problem because I just didn't understand how to do it. This time around it went smoothly, a little bit because I had already had a base from before, but every time I tried before, I hit those walls and I put it down. And I just said, oh, I'm not doing this. I can't get past this. And this time around, I had the mechanism of how to do it pretty much figured out, how to do the taping and getting it up. But what I had to get past was the part of putting my face out there, because I'm an extreme introvert and I do not like to be seen. That's all part of whatever our background is of not being seen. Well, I was laying on the couch one day staring at the ceiling and I thought, what is that from? You don't, that's obviously because you don't think enough of yourself to put yourself out. And I thought, well, maybe just try doing some dry runs and get used to it. So I came across something, because of course on YouTube, everything comes up when you need it. I came across videos of people saying how they had struggled in the beginning and didn't like it. Takes quite a bit for you to get comfortable with doing it. That helped a lot. But I started doing it and got to where I could feel comfortable sitting here doing this. But I stopped and I realized that that was also part of the masculine energy, because masculine energy, there's feminine energy as the receiver. They're more inner world and the nurturer and the feeler and everything. The masculine is more outward, and that was my masculine energy this time around, trying to get this going. My masculine energy was backing me up and helping me to bring it forward, Whereas the other times I wasn't ready with that. I hadn't healed my masculine and I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel sure of myself. This time around, passed through every obstacle within a couple of days. And that was my masculine. Thank you very much, masculine. And if he's out there, I don't know, we don't know how much of what we do is translated as just us working with our own energy, or if it is involved with someone else because we're not in contact with them. We honestly don't know until a later date when you can swap notes. But I feel that I can feel internally that I am so rock solid that, well, doing this is just a drop in the bucket. So what? I've gone through way worse than this. You know, it's really not the big deal that you thought it was. And that's what fear is. Whenever you have fear, when you get to the other side of fear, you think, why was I so afraid of that? Who knows? But once you're on the other side, you can't relate to the side that you were when you were in fear. Because now I can't step back into that. I'm really enjoying where I am. It feels pretty good. Anyway, okay, that's how it feels when you start coming into balance. You start feeling that the teeter-tottering that you had, you're not unstable at all anymore. You've got it all. It's like you're standing on this massive piece of granite, and you could have lightning hitting that granite. That's not going to do a thing to it because you're just going to stand there and smile. So I know there's a lot of technical ways of saying how it comes into balance, but this was the human side of it when you're feeling it, because we're walking a real double-edged sword here when we're constantly we're sitting and moving about and interacting with the 3D world, but we're having things happen to us that nobody else can relate to, and sometimes we can't even relate to ourselves. We can't figure out what part is this is. Is this 3D? Is this 5D? Am I, you know how many times you ask this throughout this, am I doing this right? Yeah, you're doing it right. You're doing it right all the time. You just don't have anybody to tell you whether you are or not. So I get my feeling from my inner world now, and I feel really good. And that's what I hope for you all as well. When you start to feel that you're coming into balance and your nervous system is regulated, just relax with it. Don't question it. Let it go and settle down, and don't push to go out and celebrate with it because you might just set it off. It's pretty fragile in the beginning. You're waffling. So I was lucky. I was stuck in the house anyway. So I was able to monitor it hour by hour, day by day, without my environment changing to say, was it that or that person that set me off? No, it was me all by myself. I would have something come up, and then I would tackle it, and it would go away, and I'd think, well, you were in the living room when it started, you're in the kitchen and later, and then you're back in the living room. You can't blame it on anybody or anything. It was you. So just relax with it and enjoy it. Because, man, we fight a hard battle through this. When you do get some of the rewards at the other end, you really are. In a way, after I started to feel really good, I put my arms around it and I was hugging myself, and I thought, this is for me. DM, you're on your own for a while. You can do your thing. I have to do mine, and right now I'm going to take this. This is for me. I worked hard for this. Now I'm sure it's affecting him, but I won't know that until later either. So there you go. There's a little bit of my experience. That just barely scratches the surface, but that's a bit of the experience that I had of what it felt like when I was coming into balance. Take it, enjoy it, and revel in it, because you deserve it. You really do. Thanks. Enjoy your masculine energy.